All right, guys, we're back for round five's review. Um, Off the bat, I have to say it. I mean, up the Eagles, man. Let's go. Right, like huge win. What a good ending to honestly what was a good round for me. Um, might have been the best round of this year so far. I'd say easily. But yeah, well, great weekend. 2163 the score going back to Supercoach. Top 1%. Honestly, I thought this was better than it was. But still great, right? Like I thought I was going to be in like maybe the top 100 for the week. Ended up being I think I'm like one in the 160s range for the week. We're at 153. There we are. But yeah, up to 239, by far the highest I've ever been ranked. I was doing a bit of like research into it. I think the main thing that's helping me right now is the team value. Almost at 12,500. If we go to other teams, like we'll go into the team in a minute. If we go rankings, there's not many. Pardon me. There's not many teams with the same amount of value as what I've got at the moment. Yeah, so like a lot of this value comes from like bringing in players at the right time. Honestly, a bit of luck in just having a really good starting team. But if you didn't have the right starting team, I feel like this year you had the most chances to fix it. Round 0, you got to see players early. Round 1, no price changes have happened yet. Plus, there's more trades. I think, yeah. So like these are just. I want to see if it worked for money. I don't know if I'm going to do that. More trades than ever before. Round 2, still no price change. Like there was a lot of chances to get the team where you needed it to be. There were a lot of injuries, but I don't think many premium, big time 700k, high 600k guys have been hurt this year. To be honest with you, so like I can't see that excuse. But yeah, well, good season. Top 240. Let's go, right? Like hopefully I can stay here for a good period of time, and the team really is backloaded. Doing that card opening video has irreparably killed this whole setup, right? Like the mic does not want to stay where it is. But yeah, the team's like backloaded for end of season guys. So I think we scale in late game if you play league or something like that. Yeah, we scale. But yeah, we'll go into it. Sheasel was incredible. North lost by basically 100. What was it? It was like 70. What are we at? We want 4. Oh, we want 5. What am I saying? I mean, lost by more than they scored. So not a great outing from them, but Sheasel was really the one that stopped this from being a flat out 100-point beating, right? Take it from someone who's watched their fair share of 100-point beatings. Sheasel was really good for North. 159, got carried by the goal at the end. I feel like he almost got like 20-something points for that goal. I'm guessing it was just a low-scoring game and he got a fair bit of scaling because of that. But yeah, great game from him. Did not expect it. If it was anyone else, I probably had a look at Captain Am. But yeah, that's cool. Houston, the Port trio of Houston, Butters, and Rosie, with like an interchangeable fourth being Horn Francis or Ollie Wines, they're going to be like top scorers this year. Having 2 of the 3, the big ones, is good. I'm thinking about getting in Rosie just to have all 3. Kind of like what I've done with Gold Coast. I've got 2 of the 3. They've got another 4 there, like Noah Anderson, Matt Rao, Tuke Miller, and Sam Flanders. Sam Flanders, is that? Yeah, it is. I was thinking of like it's not Ned Flanders. That's Simpsons. Um, yeah, so like getting in those guys that are from these super high scoring teams. Um, so yeah, Houston was great. Port, the game was close, and there were a couple errors at the end, which I think costs Butters a little bit because I think he had like a free against at the end. Um, but yeah, I mean, good game, and Butters and Houston scored well. Dacos obviously on bye, so I got Zach Williams 92, which is, I mean, more than you could ask for. I was thinking like he's going to put up a 70, which was low estimate. It was Adelaide at Marvel, but Adelaide ended up taking the game to Carlton and won the game. Uh, Not bad from Adelaide's part. Still, I would not touch a single player on the Crows team right now at all. Um, Only one you could maybe make a case for is like I mean, Rankin, if he stays in the midfield, if he gets I'd say 45% plus CBAs consistently, but even then, like that's not someone that you want now. That's something that may be down the line as like a F6 or something like that. Just wouldn't touch anyone. But yeah, this is like a 50, 70, 80, 90. It probably means he's going to score 100 next week, right? Probably not against GWS. They have done pretty good against defenders. Looking at the game this week, it was Giants Saints. They did kind of hold Saints backline low for 3 quarters. And then Brad Hill just kind of had like a crazy end of third, start of the fourth type of thing. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't see this being a huge score, but you have got guys like Sard out, McGovern out. Um, Wiedering doesn't take kick-ins, so like kick-ins are available for him. That should kind of give him a solid floor of say around about 80. So probably someone that you want to look at looping this week. Let's see. 6. Yeah, I mean, you could. Yep. So most people have a Hall or a Howes. Traded Howes, probably didn't need to, but made the money work for Closey, which is, I think Howes scored a 60, so basically an extra 60 points on top. And let me get to Yo, which we'll go into it. That was an amazing game from him. So all in all, not too worried about trading out Howes. Still got Hall, which is probably going to work as my loop guy until he comes back. Which I'd imagine he does. You know, you got Salem out for a little bit. You know, this Melbourne backline can't really put together a stretch of 4 or 5 games without getting hurt. Historically, like that's been a thing for a couple of years now. Yeah. So yeah, we'll see how this goes. Probably just loop him. I'll probably do it with D'Ambrosio. I do feel pretty confident in Closey. I think it's Closey, but Hesse looks like what it should be. Yeah. Wangan Malira, good game from him. He's probably going to be D6. Did I overpay for him? Maybe. What did I bring him in at? I think it was like 460. When did I bring him in? It would have been here. So, just at 500k. He's really not went up much. I can check that. I think I've overpaid for him a little bit, but he should be. Where is it? Yeah, 3. So 475 isn't terrible. For a guy that I think is going to probably be my D6 for this season. Maybe a bit early for that, especially when you got guys like Closey could just stay solid all year. If he can hold like a 90 overall, then he's probably everyone's D6, D7. But yeah, good game from Naz. wish they didn't burn him so much, right? Like it happens a lot. I think he's their best ball user out of defense. People are going to say Brad Hill because of the game this week, but I still say it is Naz. Um, but you have guys like Bonner, which I'd like to hear a Saints fan perspective on Bonner and how they think he kind of helps the team. Because whenever I'm looking at that Saints backline, he is the weak link there. He's the guy that has pretty bad decision making. It doesn't always end up in a turnover, but it's what's a word? Kind of like playing unrespectfully, like you dishonest maybe, like playing dishonestly. It's a kick that should be turned over, doesn't, just because they have so much talent around there. But yeah, I'm not really a fan of Bonner in the back line. Onto D'Ambrosio, didn't really catch any of this game. It was a Supercoach relevant game. It just ended up being a blowout, so I didn't really watch much. Flicking back and forth though, saw the mids were dominating. Caught a bit of the fourth. Well, like the Port game was like going on, but I think it was like at a break, right? Like the 3/4 time break. And I saw Graham. He's a tackling machine. I don't know how good he's going to be. I think he is the perfect guy to have on your bench and loop every week. So, I do give like a stamp of approval for going for him this week. Just, I don't know if he's an on-field option because for 3/4 of that game, he was terrible. He was like, I want to say like in the 30s, not even in the 40s or 50s. But he plays in a like Supercoach friendly midfield. You got 135 here, 133 here. Flanders had a 115, something around that margin. Then you had Noah Anderson, which, I mean, it was perfect conditions for him, 155. It's a very scoring friendly midfield for Supercoach anyway. But yeah, didn't really catch much of D'Ambrosio, like what he was doing and everything. But obviously he was getting around the ball a fair bit. If we go here, we can see his stats. 18 touches, 2 tackles, no goal. But I mean, you take that, right? It's basically a wing that rotates back, so you'll take that. If 18 touches, he's getting him 94. That's a pretty good floor. I'd like to maybe I'll go back and watch like highlights of this game, just in my free time and everything like that. Because 18 touches for 94 does seem a bit over because not a high tackling game, but he's not a high tackle player. 1 free kick 4. He had to have been going at like 100% efficiency to get this high, but yeah, we'll take it. He's probably someone that is on the trade block next week onwards. Went for like a bad game. 34 break even this week, obviously not a trade. With North and everything like that, he could easily put up like 100. But going on from there, what is the Hawks' run right now? Sydney, not a fan of. Dogs at Marvel might suck, honestly. So I'm guessing 8 is where he could drop a bad score. He hasn't ever played the Dogs before, at least not at Marvel. So that could be the week where it's like, all right, is it maybe time to trade him out, like after going into round 9, because he will get DPP next week. So he's 100%, no question about it. He will get midfield dual position. But yeah, we'll see where we go from there. 15 minutes already, Jesus. We'll sprint through these now. Closey, obviously really good. He's just all around the ball for Gold Coast. He's kind of like a do-everything type of player. Could see him having a really long career as well. He looks just great, like in all skill areas of the game. Bont kind of got kept out of it. There was a little bit of tagging from Essendon's side, from just like a mixture of guys. Like they had Durham go to him. I think Caldwell went to him for a little bit. Yeah, I mean, just a poor game from him, honestly, but poor game from all of the dogs. So I think this week, they're all proud players and stuff there. Against the Saints did keep Tom Green low, but Bont and Tom Green are completely different players. So, I don't know, I'd back Bont for this week. Obviously, you can't trade him. You've paid 700k for him. You can't trade him. And he'll be fine, right? Like season, take a step back, look at the season. He'll be absolutely fine. Butters 130. So there was the issue where people were like, oh, he might miss a week, right, with suspension. I never really saw that. I saw the thing happen live, then I saw it happen on replays, then I've seen it happen on Twitter. He was going for the ball the whole time. I think he even got a hand on the ball, and I think that's really what's like saving him through all of this. Other than that, like, it was a great game from him. Did take a little bit to get into it, but yeah, I mean, Butters, Rosie are just so good to watch. The whole like Port team is really good to watch, which is a little interesting because in years past they've been pretty boring. I think that's one of like Ken Hinckley's big things going into last year, and then they've actually implemented it this year. Just playing a faster brand of football, not so much like a gritty style. Playing a bit more like up tempo, more modern. You could see that in like how they've restructured their defense and everything like that. But Matt Rowell, obviously the Rowell and Miller thing is just fantastic. I'll probably squeeze both of them in here. Took is more the outside guy, but the way they play, it's kind of it has got a bit of that Richmond move the ball forward. Just like whatever happens, move it forward. You never really kick backwards, which is perfect for just a powerhouse, like a beast like Rowell is. He's got to be, by the end of the year, if he holds up and doesn't miss games or anything like that, I could see him being a top 5 Brownlow player. Maybe even a bit higher than that, but maybe that's a bit biased going into it. I love Matt Rowell's game. I really do. He reminds me of like an old school midfielder. Just how contested he is and everything like that at stoppages really helps him because he just bull rushes in to move the ball forward. Then you got Miller, kind of like hanging on the outside, receiving that first kick out, and then just clearing the ball into the forward line. Right, like both of them super good. Noel Anderson's amazing. Flanders moving into half back. It just happened to be like a brilliant decision. It's a good team, man. Gold Coast are a really, really good team. We'll see how many wins they get out of this formula, but it's a super solid foundation for them. And Jack Steele, man, you can't have asked for a better starting pick. 520, I want to say his price was. Yeah, 530. Going on to be a top 3 mid right now. What's the average of 130? What I want to say that there's who's averaging higher than him at the moment. So midfielders. Walsh doesn't count. It's one game. Rowell, who's obviously just been insane to start the year, and then it's Jack Steele. So really, he's the second ranked midfielder. Sarong's had a couple of bad games. That's what's brought his lower, but he would have been higher. But yeah, Steele is top 2. You got him in at 530k, cheaper than he ever had any right being, right? But coming off a bad year last year, I could see why some people didn't want to hop on the pick. But this is one of them. If you don't have him by now, what trades were you making? This is for people that are like, oh, the season's over, right? Like, I've already messed up the team. One thing that I'd say look back on, guys like this, guys like Steele, guys like Sheasel, Yo is going to become that, I think, over time. While these guys were going off, what trades were you making? Were you just covering injury, which in that case, maybe next year look at a little bit more injury history stuff when you're picking players for a starting team. Otherwise, what premiums were you trading in? Why not trading the guys that are hot at the moment? So like, there's 3 round average there for a reason, right? Like if you go to here, you sort by 3 round average, you find the players that are hot. So like Isaac Heaney, you have to have him. Yeah, like now, if you don't have him, it kind of is season over. Like honestly, paying 640k for a forward in a really lackluster forward line, you're trading out another premium player to get to him. It's kind of like you're just starting from the back. Ryan is one that I'm missing, but I've got Sheasel and everything like that who just so happen to be averaging higher. I don't know. The way I see it, if you don't have these guys, what were you doing? Right? Like, who were you trading? Yo, like I said, I mean, an absolute masterclass from him. I was thinking he's going to be like this final spot. He might be D5. Honestly, I might have most of my defense finished. With this spot, I'm probably say Yo is D5 in this imaginary world. I'm probably looking at a maybe a Hayden Young, maybe a Nick Martin. I know I've traded both out, but I got positive on both, like trading both out. So I don't know, maybe one of them or Luke Ryan if I can get up to afford him. Other than that, I mean, Yo is just fantastic, right? Like, man, what a game. Harley Reid also fantastic. We'll get there in a minute. He is like, they use all the superlatives, right? I've never seen a player fit the electric like the branding like Harley Reid has. Like he is so good to watch. Anytime he just gets a cheap touch of the ball or like it's a nothing touch, like it's going around the stoppage, he just happens to get his hands on it. Anything can happen, right? Like he's breaking every tackle. Is insane. The rookies were really the poor spot of this week. Sanders got subbed. I could do the whole rant here on Bevo. All I'll say is he's lost the plot. He's an egomaniac coach who has no idea how 2024 football works. He's never really developed a player under his system. He's stubborn and he shows every possible red flag as to why you would fire a coach. You look at Adam Simpson, red flags are there, but he's also doing everything right personnel-wise. He's playing the right guys when they're available, and people are developing in West Coast. There is no one that has developed under Beveridge. The only one that people will always bring up is Bont or Libba. Both of them were already good. Bont was already touted to be like the next big thing. Hasn't developed anyone, and there's a reason for it. Look at how he's treating young players, and the media spinning this as what were they saying? Like he threw the toys out of the cot or something. Like Sanders is not the issue here. That was a justified reaction for someone that's been highly touted as a draft pick, highly touted by the coach when it went to drafting him, and for some reason now they don't play him. When you have Oscar Baker, who at probably the same time had less than 5 touches, you have all these guys in their forward line who are just terrible. Norton stays forward even though he kicks 1 goal every 5 games. What are you doing, right? Like, what are you doing? You have Bailey Dale as a sub who can't play anywhere outside of defense. You drafted him as a forward and he was almost out of the league. You have to play him in defense. You've dropped Caleb Daniel, probably the right choice, but why didn't you trade him in the off-season? Why have you still got this midfield that is that is aging? You haven't tried to improve it. Everyone there is 30 plus. Jack McRae can't get a game for you because you're being stubborn about the way you want to play. Even though he's still a very good midfielder, you could have traded him off, got some draft picks in, actually had a competing team, but instead you're probably going to miss the 8 again. That's my problem with Beveridge. He has done everything wrong. Anyone that's even played a game with a GM mode in it knows this is not how you run a team. You play a young kid, so like that he makes mistakes, you coach him, you do your job to make him better, not sub him out and let the media berate him. You are a terrible coach. You should not have your job. You are way overvalued in the grand scheme of things. You've won one flag, you got demolished in another one, you haven't been competitive for a flag outside of that. Why do you still have a job? Yeah, coaches are a lot better and get fired for a lot less. He should have been fired. If he dares drop Sanders this week, I'm tempted to trade out every Dogs player I have. Boost, Bond, Sanders, and Darcy X. I don't want anything to do with that team. He is a terrible, 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 horrible head coach that has no idea what he's doing and doing everything because he's an egomaniac. There's my spill on that. Sharp, 54. Not amazing from him, but I mean, the Frio team was kind of just like not really playing to the outside, right? Kind of what happens when you're a wing. When you're down in a game, everyone's trying to move through the corridor. Not really going to happen, right? If you're a winger. The bench, I mean, McKercher probably has to get traded. 101 break even. Has got the Hawks this week. If he plays halfback, he'll score like 70, 80 odd. But like 100 break even. That's terrible. Like, it does reset. Like, after Adelaide, it does reset. But I don't know, man. Maybe not the pick that everyone should have had. Maybe could have gone with. I mean, who? Jai Clark obviously wasn't the play. I don't know who was. It was probably Starton, Dempsey. You have Wilson in the midfield. And then Carroll was the sub, so he's obviously getting traded this week as well. Gawn played. Grundy did not. Why is it doing that? Come on. 138 from Gawn. Kind of felt robbed. Should have been a 150, 170 even. Just Melbourne mids did not show up to play at all. I don't know what's going on with Petrarca. I don't know what's going on. I do know what's going on with Oliver, but this needs a shake-up. Whether it's Petrarca becomes a forward again, you go Rivers, Oliver, Viney, something like that. I don't know. Like, that midfield is pretty rough at the moment for all guys that are Brown level players, right? So, yeah, I don't know what's going on there. Forward line, so he didn't play, got Darcy's score. He was really good, I thought. I don't know how much he's going to keep this up, though. Like, it does feel a little bit fluky, him getting to 80 every week. Tom Powell did everything I needed to see. I still think it's going to be F5 to 6, depending on if he's 100 overall, 100 average, or 95 to 93. I think he's going to be one of these two spots here. So really, when you look at it, I have Wanganeen Malera, who's probably D6, Yo, who could probably pass as M8, and Powell, who's probably going to be my F6. If Reed doesn't keep it up, honestly, I'll love watching Reed. Could keep him the whole season. But yeah, I mean, I saw everything I needed to see. It took him a little bit. Like, I think at 3/4 time he was only in the 60s or something like that, and he had a bigger fourth. But it is kind of the North game plan isn't the best at the moment. Whether it's game plan or execution, it's one of the two. But they're all still young. The difference between North being bad, being bad, using a bad game plan, and Dogs using a bad game plan, they're 30 plus. They're experienced. These guys are in first, second, third year. I expect them to be inexperienced. Yeah, I mean, he was fine. 5 really got lucky with some end of game stuff. So I think he had the last 2 inside 50s for him, and then he had a pretty big clearance for Frio, like giving him a shot to win the game. That really, really helped his score. Yeah, I mean, he wasn't that good before that. It wasn't an 80. Harley Reid, like I already said it before, this guy is fantastic to watch. Just love watching him. There was one play that I'll remember because it was a nothing play. Nothing really happened from it, but the ball was kind of like defensive 50 for the Eagles. He's like there's a little I can't remember if it was a ball up or ball in, but just gets the ball off the ground. 3 or 4 guys around him. You think he's just going to go down. It's just going to go up again. Breaks 3 tackles. There's a guy behind him who you'd think he doesn't even see, but he shrugs that one off as well. And then just kicks the ball up the field. Maybe I can't even remember. Maybe it went out of bounds. He's just so good, and guys like Sam McClaw deserve to be out of a job. Like, my God, right? Like, saying that this isn't someone that you draft because you can't build around him. Absolute, nonsense, right? Like, and everything he has shown says that he's going to stay with the West Coast. It's 1 win for the year. It's not like, we're making the grand final or anything, but, we beat a good team, right? Like, Richmond have their injuries, but we beat a good team. Richmond can't use injuries as their excuse when you still run multiple All-Australians out there. It is what it is. Dempsey, the king of the almost goal of the year, mark of the year. He loves going up there and just can't hang on to it. Somebody please get this guy in practice working on his hands. Please. He gets up there and it's like, oh, here we go. And he just crumbles and fumbles it. Someone has to work on that, right? Like, he is so fun to watch. And God, I hate that Geelong have another big guy that they're going to build around for the future. But he's fun to watch. I can't be mad at him. Cadman, probably his last week in the team. What's he's at? 40 GWS play. This will tell me, won't it? Carlton. Ooh. Who's going to draw Wiedering? I'd imagine Hogan. Hogan's a bit more of a threat. So they have to bring in Newman. They probably have to bring in... a couple of guys, don't they, Carlton? Depending on how this looks... So... Newman's playing, Boyd, Marchbank probably comes in, and not a fan of that team. Not a fan of that backline. Maybe I keep him. Is that Marvel? I'll think about it. If he makes trades work, then I'll trade him, but if I don't have to trade him, I'll probably keep him. And then Darcy, I said before, it's probably getting a bit lucky that he's getting 82. Darcy Wilson, I didn't really catch much of him doing anything in that game, but obviously he was doing something because he got 61. So what did he end up with stats-wise? 19 touches, 2 marks, a tackle, a goal. So the goal saved him. All right, fair enough. But yeah, that's the team for this week. So going into trades, honestly, I could probably go this week without making a trade. Not a fan of the rookies that are available. So main ones are, and then oh no, because it's what's his name, isn't it? Okay, so you got Comben. He's fine if you wanted to bring him in. People are. You look at it, McKercher to Comben is one of the most popular things. I think Clark to Comben, if you have the money for it, is a good thing. I would not go early on Walsh, by the way. If you're one of these 1,000, I'd reverse that straight away. Walsh has had back injuries for 2 years now. Let him get a run. Run a games and then trade him in. Don't do it early. And against GWS isn't a good idea either. Comben, yeah, I mean, I might skip Graham. I'm looking at just as a bench guy. They call him Biggie, so I'll just use that. Bigoa Nguyen, I think is how you pronounce it, but it's Biggie. He looked fine in the back line. Did make a couple of like rookie mistakes type of thing, but yeah, wait a week on that. Do not go early. Yeah, Shannon Neal looks really good, but I don't see him keeping his spot with Hawkins and stuff. Even the commentary was saying it like he's looking solid, but with the with Tom Hawkins there, Dangerfield, Cameron, it's probably pretty hard to find a regular spot. Drury, I actually liked a bit more than the other um, North guys, even though he didn't score the best. Just got around it, especially in the fourth. He was the type of guy that just kept finding his way near the ball, right? Which is the type of thing you want to see. We'll see how that develops though, because he is kind of playing as a what would the position be, like general forward or like utility forward or something like that, where he just kind of, oh, maybe even a wing, like a wing forward. Yeah, he just kind of gets near it when they need him to, and he's like Tom Powell's favorite guy to kick to. I swear there was like 5 straight kicks to him. McAlefey, I think is how they said it on the commentary. I mean, he's on bye this week, so it's not a trade anyway. But I don't know. With Taranto out, maybe find some games. Don't know how long Taranto's out for. James O'Donnell is a no. O'Sullivan, didn't really see much of him. Honestly, you could have told me he was a sub. I wouldn't have noticed. Hugo Garcia looks like their sub for permanent, so I wouldn't trade him. Owen David didn't show anything. Tholstrup, nah. Erasmus, I think, was a sub. Tyler Sellers was a sub and didn't get a touch. Yeah, I mean, not many rookies this week. It really is like the North guys and then Graham. Ethan Reed, by the way, wouldn't touch. He's a ruck slash another forward, right? Like that they're just going to use sparingly when they want another tall. Wouldn't touch it. Just don't think he's that good. And then Ramsden's kind of the same deal, but he's also just not very good as a player. So for trades, I'm pretty confident I'll be doing this. Yeah, I should have brought the filter up in here. There we are. Move it down to about there. So, Will Graham in. Again, who's probably just going to be a bench guy that I loop scores with when he scores all right. He's a tackle machine, so at some points of the year, he's going to have those 80 games and stuff like that, which will continually like reset his cash gen. Look at a guy like Hayden Young, which I probably traded out too early, but the tackles and stuff give a good floor for the score. Hi Loman, I mean, I'm paying less than what I'd pay for Combin, and I like Loman a lot more. I'll go with Combin for the moment, but I don't mind Loman. You may like you've missed the big price rise, but damn it! Why does this game do this? Sometimes it just resets. 10 touches for 81 is so not sustainable. Yeah, maybe not Lyman actually. Now that I look at it. So just do this again because this game is, it must be working like prehistoric, the stuff behind it. That, and then go, where is he? Am I blind? There he is. And then Common. To go with that, honestly, my Kelty Lafau would probably be my trade in this week if he wasn't on bye. And he might still be because I don't need him to play. We'll see. He just looks good as Richmond's forward. Looks like a bit of a target guy for him. Then I'll probably do that. Yeah, so that's about it for this week. Do not field Sanders. Loop him if you can. If you have a guy that you can kind of loop around. But yeah, so let me know what you guys scored this week. How you guys going in rank and what trades you're looking at. Till next week though, tasty out.